So home screen, locations lets you look at women currently admitted to wards. Teams takes you to the doors where you can look at all of your specialist referrals or women allocated to particular teams. My Desk is the one that you're going to use most often for your caseload management, and you use the drop down box up here to sort women on a variety of different formats. One of the ones we talked about today is for your postnatal triage. So if you're doing weekday triage for your team, you're going to do team discharge women last 24 hours. If you're doing weekend triage, you're going to do all discharge women last 24 hours. And if you don't pick them up for whatever reason, you need to make sure they go and sit behind the triage pickups door so that we don't lose them. And also add an action on there to explain why they are behind there. We also talked about offline mode that you access over here. This is where you want to use records where you don't have internet access. You can put women into your offline briefcase. And if you put them in, please take them out. Other things that we talked about, if we go into a record. And today we've been using Daisy Cox. Just a quick bit of overview and oversight. So let's go from the top down. Confidential mode up here, where you can look at your safeguarding information. Once you're in confidential mode, the colour of the screen changes, so it's purple, so you know that you're there. Buttons over here, these are your overall risk assessment. Pink is a high risk woman, green is a low risk woman, grey means that she hasn't had a risk assessment. Here's where you add your meds, here's where you add referrals, and here's where you add actions. So whenever you put a referral through, please also add an action so the person picking up the referral knows what it was that you wanted with that patient. But also on actions, you can also do things like, so I've seen her today. She told me that she's been feeling faint quite often, so I've taken an FBC to see if she needs some iron. I'm then going to not see her next week because I'm going to rotate into the unit. So provide screening results, description of action, check FBC, target date for next week. And I can assign it to my buddy midwife. So say that is Sarah Saxby. And pending, and then finish. So the next time that she is seen in antenatal appointments, actually, so I probably should have been a bit more. So I've seen her today for her, I don't know, 31 weeks. I know she's going to be seen at 34, so I can add a note on there. Obviously, you're going to have it in your diary, so you're going to want to pick it up, but you've added an action in case that doesn't happen the next time she's seen to make sure that that is completed. If you had then done it yourself and gone in and review those screen results, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If you add it as an action for Sarah,
yeah,
and Sarah goes off sick,
yeah,
and you're on annual leave,
yeah,
where's that found?
That's a good question. Don't know. We need to talk about that.
I'll add that to my list.
Yeah, I put it on a post-it.
That's the problem with with actioning something to a buddy. Yeah. So you go on annual leave, Sarah goes off sick, and I'm covering.
Yeah.
Can that sit on the patient's notes somewhere instead?
Well, so it does sit on the patient's notes, and you actually don't need to necessarily assign it to anybody. And in terms of the governance structure that we've been looking at, in terms of where those lines of accountability sit, again, these are conversations that are ongoing and we need to talk about them a bit more, but there hasn't been any appetite for there being like what's the word I'm looking for, like disciplinary line behind that, because I can add whatever I want on there, can't I? I can say that I've assigned it to you, Fee. And you know, that just because I've assigned it to you doesn't necessarily mean that it becomes your responsibility. At the end of the day, it's still my responsibility, isn't it? I took the sample, so I've still got to be confident that that's been returned. So there are conversations to have around that, as to how we make sure that we pick those up.
Francesca, can the actions be seen by anyone, not just those that are assigned to it?
Yes, anyone that
So
goes into
it could be
record.
picked up anyway. Whoever sees it could just look for any outstanding actions.
Yeah, so that's part of my expectation on you when you see a patient, to be looking up here at the actions tab. But if you're seeing them in routine antenatal, it's going to push you to look at it anyway. It comes up as part of the algorithm. But the intention here, the process intention, is just to make those outstanding items visible, so that if you don't complete them, or whoever you would expect to complete them doesn't, it's so that they're still there and they can be reviewed. And so that is that one. We talked about structured data and about all these different places that are going to populate as a result of information that you've entered. A couple of other things that we didn't look at this morning that will be useful to you. Over here, if you go into profile and then in the audit section, your counter signature is over here. So if you need to countersign a student midwife, you're going to countersign in there. You're going to write the name of the student that you're countersigning for. You can set the review period. So how long did you work with them for? And you can say whether the record entered is appropriate, no, see comments, or yes, but with changes. And you can leave those comments down there and review, discuss with the student, yes, and then finish. Other things that might be useful to you in the audit side is referral processing. So what you can see here is the referrals for that woman. So she's got a referral in here for diabetes endocrinology, but you can see that it's been made, but it's not been processed. So the processing is done either by admin or by clinical, and it would go in, and whether it's accepted or rejected, it's going to be processed by me and then finish. So you can see now that her referral is acknowledged and accepted. So over here, what you would also expect when that referral is processed is that whoever's processed it has gone back in and updated the action. So arrange appointment, and so updated 16, 10, 23 appointments sent by Jeffries as an example, and then you mark it as complete today, and finish. So now her action there has sat on the completed side, so you can see what's happened with her. Also, as a piece of information that might be interesting for you, when you go into My Desk, it will pull up any women that have rejected referrals. So if you've put through a referral and it's not been agreed, you can pull them up in there, and you can think about additional actions that you might want to take for them. Back into Daisy Cox. That is indeed Daisy Cox. And so the bits we've been doing today have been for booking. So from that front screen, you can go new booking. From here, you can go into booking overview and enter her information. So that information that we entered earlier, as I said, structured data. So we entered a management plan at booking. I can now go down and just click the management plan, and the details are there. The other thing that I didn't talk to you about earlier is this thing. So antenatal payment by results. So remember, I was talking about funding. Amy, I see your hand.
Hi, sorry, I'm having a complete blank as to how we put someone behind a door.
So behind a door is with referrals. So it's up here. Right. So you're going to go add referral. These are still a bit untidy because they are an ongoing process for the live version. But you're going to go referral status required. You're going to select the reason. So for example, she's had at least one section. So you're going to send her to the VBAC door, and you're going to make the referral by me, and then finish and save. So now if we go home and go into the doors, go into VBAC, referrals pending, Nah, she's not there. That doesn't help, does it? Have I got 2 VBAC doors? I wonder. Anyway, that is how it would work. As I said, they're a bit laggy in the test system, so I apologise. But that is the
Okay.
process that you would follow. All right.
And there's one there for the missed community discharge thing.
Yes, triage pickups will be there.
Triage pickups. Okay. And if they've been put in a door,
Yeah.
how do we know, like on day assessment, the pharyngeal door is going to be as? Am
Yeah.
I just, it's part of my day job now to just look at that every morning and get them out?
So what you would do is, so who might be on the door? There might be some people behind GTT over the course of this week. Let's have a look. Yeah. So these people, as part of training this week, have been put behind the GTT door. So what you would then do is you can view the notes. So she's got an associated action. So her action's already been processed. So it was over here. So arrange appointment, and the ask was for a GTT. So you would go in and you'd go through and you'd go, okay, so this woman, a midwife, has asked for a GTT for her. You would just have a look through the notes, make sure you're happy that that's appropriate. And then what you're going to do is in those referrals. So that's this one. Referral made by Lucy. You're going to check the referral, and then you're going to say acknowledged and accepted if you're happy for a further GTT. So then save. So you've looked at it, you've decided it's appropriate, you've acknowledged and accepted it. You would then update the action to say, yeah, booked for the 25th of the 10th, 2023, and you're going to save. Question about those. So if we're booking GTTs, do they go on IPM?
Eventually.
When's eventually?
Whenever the lady on reception's done it.
I only asked.
Yeah, some of them aren't on when they turn up because they've been busy. Most of them are.
Yeah. I only ask because I'm thinking about that connection through between IPM and the patient portal. So if they're on, the patient will be able to see them. But yes, that's how those referrals will be able to be made that way.
So right. So if I book her on this system, then I have to write it in the paper diary. And then when the receptionist has put it on IPM, the woman will know. I don't have to ring them anymore.
You would have to ring them to let them know. But actually, I'm going to explain another little bit of the process. So there's a new thing that I'm bringing in. It will be ready in time for K2, which is electronic booking for GTT and anti-D.
Right.
So the midwife will be able to book that in community for GTT and anti-D. You'll have a calendar with all of the open appointments, and the midwife will be able to go in and select a date and time, and then they'll be able to tell the patient the time of the appointment. You can go in and look at the referral and check it's appropriate. So it's only if you need to cancel it that you'd need to speak to her. She'd already have a time and date.
Oh, amazing. Okay, thank you.
Amy, I see your hand.
So just going back to say that feedback thing, for example,
Yeah.
so when we do a booking,
Yeah.
would that automatically, like they've had a previous section, would that automatically go through, or do we need to specifically start a referral for each one of those things? Because obviously at the minute we free text at the bottom, and then the Salus is seen by Antenatal Clinic and they pick out the things from there. But now do we need to do the separate referrals? Like she wants a VBAC, so she'll need to be seen in clinic to get.
Yeah, I get what you mean. So things that will happen. So if they're for consultant opinion, they're going to get triaged by the consultant.
Fine.
Those ones where it's definitely they're going to be consultant. If for VBAC, for example, then you would need to put through the VBAC referral, and that's how she gets to clinic.
Okay, so you have to do the specific referral as well.
But there is that sort of greyish line where you have those patients who, I don't know, combination of things, like she's diabetic and she's had a previous section, and I don't know, she had hypertension in the last pregnancy. So all of those things technically get her to a consultant, don't they?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't expect you to put through referrals for all of those 3 things, because she just needs consultant care, doesn't she?
Fine. So it's just more like an antenatal clinic referral,
Yeah.
and then you detail the bits that
Yeah.
is behind the reasoning. Fine.
Yeah, you're going to add that action to say needs clinic for VBAC,
X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
diabetic, so that she is in with a consultant rather than put through 3 referrals for her to be considered 3 times.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Thank you.
As long as we get her there somehow. Okay. And so we're going to cancel out of that. Other things that you potentially might need to look at, just up here, tools. In case you're finding that you're squinting at the screen, you can make it large, FYI, if you want to.
Can you keep it like that, Fran? Because
Yeah.
I've been literally sitting,
That's good to
squinting.
know.
Yeah. There you go, mate.
Oh, that's so much better. Thank you.
You're welcome. What other things might you need to know? Oh, I talked about where the scan's going to be. So they're building me a new solution for this. But at the moment, until I see that, what I'll tell you is it's in attachments. So when you go to communications, it's in attachments, and you can view attachments in there. What I would like you to do, though, please, is to be as thoughtful as you can about what you put in attachments, because the thing with attachments is they're not structured data. So that information, it's sort of barricaded off in a little corner of the system. So if you start adding all sorts of things in there, it's not going to be readily accessible and viewable, and people might not get in to see it. So, for example, one of the things that I've been having conversations with Kaylee about is about the wellbeing birth plans, and about when we complete those, where they go. So if it's perinatal mental health team that have completed one, I think what we need to do is attach the document, but really that document that's attached to Athena, that's not visible in Guardian. So Guardian will only show you structured data. It doesn't show you uploads. So if you just whack it in the attachment section, that's not going to be visible for the midwife looking after that woman in intrapartum. So my recommendation and my ask within UHP, if we're completing wellbeing birth plans, is actually to add them as a management plan, because then we can definitely see them. So yes, if you could just be thoughtful about adding random bits of paper, because as I said, one of the key reasons behind this system is about visibility of risk and making sure that the plan is appropriate. And if we've got key information stuck in a PDF somewhere that you can't see, then that's going to cause us problems. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, shall we do some routine antenatal? So our patient we saw this morning, Daisy Cox, we're now going to see her for a routine antenatal appointment. So to do that, we're going to have found her record, we've pulled it up, and now we are going to go into consultations and admissions, and we're going to go to new consultations. So because we allocated to, oh, this is a different Daisy
I was going to say, I don't know if it
Cox.
matters, Francesca,
Yeah.
but you're on Sarah Cole still, yeah.
Yeah, let's go find Sarah, Daisy Cox, just because I'm not in the mood for twins. Okay, that's that one. It is Daisy Cox. And then we're going to go consultations and admissions, and then we're going to go new consultations. So what this pulls up is the schedule of appointments that are generated by her care pathway that we added earlier. So she's on a primate pathway, BMI 35 or more. If you're seeing her off the cuff, you can launch an unplanned consultation, and that takes you to the next screen. Also, if you, actually I won't tell you that bit. So if you're seeing her unplanned, you document it in there. So I am going to say that we've done all of these, and we're actually at her 40-week appointment. And just as a bit of info, where it says guide date here, 8th of April 24, That's not the date the appointment's actually scheduled for, just FYI. This is the date that we should see her by according to her gestation. So I'm going to go in and do the 40-week, and I'm going to click record against it. So it pulls up this screen, and the way that you navigate through this one is using these buttons along the top. So on the front screen, it gives you a little nudge. This is what the NICE guideline expects of you at a 40-week appointment. These are the things they would like you to do. Attending clinician, I'm going to say is me, and I'm a midwife. And then we're going to go review. So this is where all of that information that we've been entering along the pregnancy pathway starts paying off. So this review, up to you about whether you want to build a way of working that you do this before the woman comes in the room, or if you want to do it while she's sitting there so you can ask questions. But right at the top, risk clearly identified. She is consultant-led care. Details and information about her pregnancy, any pregnancy conditions, her medical profile, her obstetric history, her family history. This is her timeline. So these are all the appointments that she is expecting to have. This was her booking. And so I can then click on that and see, why does it say high risk? Oh, right, so she had a risk assessment on the 16th of October that made her high risk. Other things, if she'd been admitted for an inpatient stay, for example, that would also appear on her timeline, and you would be able to click and look at the information. All that stuff we entered before about risks in the most recent risk assessment, all viewable here. So you can see that. Type of care, consultant-led, the care pathway that she's on, all of her management plans, any medical procedures that she's had. I won't run through all of them, but you get the idea. Allergies, mental health, drugs, obstetric history, previous risk assessments. This section is just review, so you can't update them in here, but it will prompt you to update them in the next section. So now you're going to go to observations. So up here, you've got your mandatories. So it expects at this appointment, you're definitely going to do blood pressure, abdominal palpation, talk about fetal movements, and complete a urinalysis. And if you don't complete those activities, it's going to ask you to justify that statement as to why you're not doing that. And you can access them directly by clicking on there. If it's in the mode, oh, it's because I'm on the blood pressure screen. So it gives you a chart of previous pressures, and you can add a new pressure. So we're going to do it now. We're not using a large cuff. So she's 116/18. Fill it with a manual. Oh. So what it will do, because I've got two on similar dates here, they're really close together, but you get the idea. It will give you a chart over time of what those are, and you've got a record down there. So now my blood pressure up here has got a little green tick, so I know that it's been done. So other things I need to do my abdominal palpation, and I'm going to add a new one. We're going to do it now, and I have palpated. There's no tenderness on palpation, and my symphysis fundal height is 41. My reason for abdominal palpation is it's a routine antenatal appointment. Do not ascend. Oh, so it says grow here, but actually our chart is into growth, same as we use. So you never want to tick that. You always want to make sure that you're putting that to the chart. Fetal movements discussed, yes. The lie is longitudinal, so I don't know, 3/5. Cephalic appears within normal range. And next. And yes. Fetal position, let's give it a bit of lull. That one. And then what you will see, the chart's not in here at the moment because it's still in test, but you will see a chart that looks just like the paper chart with the same thresholds. And so if you do your symphysis fundal height, you look at your growth chart and you go, actually, like that's potentially static growth, she needs a scan. What you're going to do is you're going to send that referral through to ultrasound, but we'll look at how you do that in a minute. Other things I need to do in this appointment, I need to talk about fetal movements. So I'm going to add a fetal movements conversation. She has the leaflet because it will be in our online resources. You're going to point her towards that, and you're going to talk about what information she needs. Discussed fetal movements. They are felt. There have been no recent changes. She doesn't have RFM. Okay, so why hasn't it completed? Yes. This information, again, it's here because it's in test, but this is going to be much shorter. This needs updating, but it's just a rundown of information that you can give women about fetal movements. This is fetal movements discussed. Oh, it's because I've selected this. It's pushed us through the reduced fetal movements pathway. I'm actually going to say no. Okay. So now my urinalysis, add new urinalysis. So this is one where, again, you've got an NAD. I'm not sending an MCNS and I'm not sending a PCR. Just an FYI, if you click yes, no on there, that doesn't complete the investigations wizard. So you'd still, as we've said, need to make an offer through investigations and process it through ICM. Finish. Okay. So other things in here, remember I was talking about cookie cutter for antenatal appointments. So there's loads of things in there that you're not necessarily going to need. And then you've got your fetal section down here. So we clicked through from the top to do the abdominal palpation, but you can get it in there. We are going to do fetal heart. And we're going to add a new. I'm going to do it now. Maternal pulse is 72. I did hear an FH. It's routine antenatal check. Doppler. I did listen for 60 seconds. It is different from maternal. It was regular. I heard an acceleration and there were no D cells. And my fetal heart was 130 and no CTG. And that will then chart over time so you can see what your baby's baseline is like. These sorts of things down here, you don't need any of these for routine antenatal. That's if they're seen in other settings. The thing that I will show you, so she's 40 weeks. What if we're going to offer her a stretch and sweep? So we're going to go vaginal examination and we're going to go add new. And we're going to do that now. And we're going to get consent. We're not going to have a chaperone. This is going to be for a membrane sweep. And we're going to go next. No abnormalities detected. No cord prolapse. So she's 1 centimetre. It's uneffaced. Posterior, 3 centimetres. Firm. Loosely applied. Absolutely not in the mood. And no. No amniotomy. Membranes are present. And cephalic position. So again, let's say that it agrees with our palpation. Where is it? Am I being stupid? Oh, there it is. Next. Oh, and presentation, cephalic. Okay, and we're going to say it's -3 or above. Don't know about that. Don't know about that. Aseptic technique, yes. Don't require a swab count. And finish. So that's our VE. There is also something that I can show you elsewhere about if you need to calculate a Bishop score. So we'll do that in a second. And you've also got your CO testing in here. This will become a mandatory for our system. So you'll have to complete that at every antenatal appointment. And if you don't, then you just need to write not appropriate for this. It's there as a mandatory for everyone all the time to ensure we get the right level of compliance for our smokers, for example. So that's one that you're most of the time not going to complete if you just explain why. And then we're going to go to our investigations. So here is where you'll see your blood results. So as I said, they'll come through from ICM, but you will need to process them before they're visible to the woman. So the test system's not currently hooked up to live, but what you would see here is, rather than pending, you would see the opportunity to process the result. And you could go in and look at the value and make a decision about whether it needs repeating or whether it needs a referral. And once it's reviewed, it sits over here on this side. And then you've got your procedures, which you're not really going to use for routine midwifery. You do have the opportunity to document a VE. You can see the previous VE there. And then you've got your assessments. So if this was the situation where we talked about earlier, where, you know, suddenly she's now got PET, you could redo the VTE risk assessment here. You could redo the preeclampsia risk assessment here. I'm sure it makes much sense. The one that I do need you to always do, please, is the mental health assessment. Or actually, you're going to review them here. And then you're going to go to your findings. And so you can update anything as you go down. So excuse me, the screen I showed you before is where you're going to look at those risk assessments. This is the screen where you can update those risk assessments. So here's your findings, whatever you would usually enter. Concerns today. Report 12. Whatever it is you would usually write in that situation. You can go through and update your risk. So we can run our pink flower again, and I'd encourage you to do that, please. Any other information that you now want to add about that pregnancy. Then you're going to go to management. So this is going to give me the active actions for this woman. So she's got an action added about checking her FBC. So the system showed me the bloods. I'm all right that I'm happy with them. And then we're going to say checked 16 and 23 by F race HB equals 117. No further action. And so we can now mark that as complete, and I've completed it today. So that's going to sit on the other side. This one is the one left from booking, asking whoever's seen her to process that. Amy, I see your hand.
If we are seeing people and giving a vaccination, do we have to go through all of this? But we wouldn't do any of it. We would just jab her and she leaves.
No, vaccinations in specialist clinic.
Oh, specialist. Okay.
So that's in the antenatal that I've not shown you in this session. But antenatal clinic and DAU are getting their own specialist sessions that specifically look at the corners of functionality that you guys need.
Cool, thank you.
All right. So there's all your actions that you can look at. You can review and change the care pathway that she's on. You can look at her referrals. And you know the one to the VBAC team's been put in, but it's not completed, but the one to diabetes has been. You can update any drugs she's taken. You can update the management plan. You can update the birth plan. We'll talk about that in a second. The type of care, if you need to change it for any reason. If she's decided she actually wants to go and have her baby at Exeter, you can add it there. And there is an opportunity for an S-bar if you wanted to complete one, if you were sending her anywhere. Amy, is that a new hand or a legacy hand?
Sorry, new hand. You just reminded me when you did the cocodamol thing earlier, I meant to ask, how do you do a neonatal alert?
This is a good question. I need to nail this down with neonates because they're quite happy to pick them up behind K2 doors. But their issue is about the documentation because they go and put them in a folder. And they aren't willing to change their process of maintaining that folder. That's important for them. But we need to work out how we're going to get those referrals out of K2 and into a folder. So that's part of an ongoing conversation. So that will be one that you'll get an update for go live. My advice always, if you haven't been given appropriate direction on how to replace old process, I hope I've captured as many of them as I can, but I absolutely have to be certain I'm not going to get every bit of it. There are going to be things we haven't thought about. My advice is complete the old process and raise it, because it's much better to complete the old process to make sure that we've got those fail safes and safeguards in place, but just shout so that we can make sure that that's amended going forward.
Okay.
So my hope is there'll be a neonatal alert door that we can put them behind, and then neonates will pick them up, but I need to get them to sign it off. All right. Okay, and then communications. So in communications, so say for example, I've sent an email to the GP because she needs 5 milligram folic acid and she hasn't had it. Recipient GP, sent them an email, did it now, information to communicate. To prescribe 5 milligrams folic acid. Finish. And then you go to your finish button over here. And again, you've got your little nice guidance reminder of all the information on things you should have gone over and discussed. You can add any comments. Record complete. Add below. But this is if anything's come up in conversation since you completed the wizard, went through those screens and you need to document it, you've got an opportunity to add it there, and then you can complete your consultation. So over here, because it won't let me save the fetal movements discussion, I'm not sure why, it's asking me for a reason for not completing all of the mandatory observations. And I'm going to say test system not working. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish. We're not going to print this. And that's her appointment completed. Any questions about that before we go to birth plan stuff? Amy, I see your hand.
From trusts that use this already,
Yeah.
Obviously I get in terms of like the system really good, covers everything, but in terms of like usability in our half-an-hour appointments, obviously there's so much on there that we're not meant to be filling in and not needing to fill in. What is there like feedback on the usability of it? Because for me, obviously not using it yet, I feel like I'm constantly going to be looking at my computer, making sure I'm like picking the bits we're meant to fill in, avoiding the bits we're not, going down all the lists, checking all these bits, and then my concern is I'm not going to be able to offer, obviously it will get better, but proper care, like a discussion with the women instead of like, oh, I need to fill in this box. Have they had any feedback on that, or is it kind of just you'll get better as you get used to it?
To some extent that is the case. You get better when you get used to it, but remember you are going to be doing this 8 times a day every day, however many appointments you have in a day, so by the end of the week it should feel much easier. But really one of the key reasons for me in giving you access to the test system, and the IT training team fought against it, but I want to equip you as best I can for that situation. So once I've given you access into the test system this afternoon, you are going to have that access ongoing right the way up to go live. So you can go in and have that familiarity with the system and what the system does and try and make that easier for you.
Okay,
cool.
And then just one more really quick thing. Obviously you've got the schedule of appointments there. Is there any way you can like open up all of the appointments so you've got like a running, could you show that?
Well, so this is the schedule here. So if you go in consultations and admissions, do you mean the documentation within the appointments?
So like when we see them now, obviously we've got like, say they've been seen 8 times antenatally because they're near the end of their pregnancy, you can go through and read all of those because if other midwives have done it, is there like a way you can overview that? So
you can go consultations and admissions, consultation history, and so you can see that one that we've just documented. You can see
and they'd all be in there. That's perfect, thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's think about birth plan. I'm trying to remember how to get to that directly. I think it's in plan of care. So I specifically want to talk to you about birth plan. Chelsea, I see your hands.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask whether or not you could see like consultations from the consultant. Like if the consultants see them, can we see what they've written and what they've said and their plan?
In exactly the same place.
Okay.
So they all sit together. So when you go in consultation history, that's going to be your routine antenatal and your consultant and absolutely everybody. And when you go over to profile and plan of care, when you click management plans, again, everybody's management plans, regardless of who made it, they're all going to sit there in the same place.
Perfect. Thank you.
Amy, I see your hand.
I'm so sorry.
No,
from
please.
like, again, our like antenatal contact point of view, obviously now we have like the risk assessment at booking and then at 28 weeks.
Yeah.
Are we then expected every time we see them to like just recheck the VTE assessment, to recheck the, you know, whatever's on that left hand side, say now, like the growth restricted risk assessment? Are we expected to do that at every appointment, or is there still going to be from like fees recommendation like at booking and at 28 weeks you should do this, or are we just going to be doing it on a rolling basis?
So I think you're going to do it on a rolling basis. Fee,
Okay.
question for you on that one. If we're doing those risk assessments at every appointment via the system overview, do we still need to be reinforcing at 28 weeks?
I think we should be doing, and we tick that we say we're doing a risk assessment at every single appointment.
Every time.
And we should be doing that already, Amy. But
yeah, it just the formal, like the formal documentation of it is now, isn't it, that 28 weeks we go through our second assessment, so we re-go through the mental health questions and the VTE, and we specifically look at it there. Obviously our risk assessment is ongoing, but so now it's just every appointment we flick through them, check them, and then go on to the next.
Do you know what? I'll check NICE guidance, because it may well just be. So I would tend to do, like, I would look at the risks that I've got, make sure that there's no evident change, and then at the 28 week booking and 28 week do a thorough assessment. But I would say we probably need to fully check what the NICE guidance is on. Let me have a look.
To say, for like, you've asked us to do the mental health one, which completely we ask at every appointment, how is the mood, how are you feeling emotionally, and we kind of tick that box, don't we? If we're doing the formal assessment and we're asking like, how are you bonding with your baby, how are you, like all of those questions, which I think are amazing, that's then obviously naturally going to lead into a bit more of a like long-winded conversation, isn't it? So we definitely are formally doing those things every time. Just the expectation of like the timing of our appointments. Is everything going to fit in? Does that?
That's why I need to make sure whether you have to do all of those.
Do you want the advice fee of what you do at a 28-week appointment? Because I can pull that for you. Bear with me. Look at me showing off now. 28-week appointment and record.
Lovely.
This is everything that's required by NICE guidance at 28 weeks.
Okay, so go to a 31-week appointment then. And what does NICE guidance say about reviewing?
31, record.
Because I sort of wonder whether we're just going to have to be very clear about what we're like, how in-depth the risk assessment is going to be. So we definitely risk assess. I might have to go back and have a look at that. I'll write it on my list.
Again, these are things that are going to come in the guidance that you get for Go Live. We will mop up these issues and provide a clear steer on what we do and don't expect you to do. And much of that period in that initial Go Live is about your pattern and about the way that you approach those questions and the way that you just discuss those issues with your women. And it is the settling of the pattern that takes the most time of, you know, relearning how you ask things and how you approach things, which is actually the thing that I wanted to talk about here as it goes, because I was talking about birth plan, because this one you really will need to look at, otherwise the first time you do it you are going to fall over it. So everybody, we all have our own ways of doing a birth plan. You've got that nailed into your brain. Your questions and your options in K2 are different. So where to give birth discussed, there's some options in there where the woman can indicate what she would like to do. Companions, and then it's got a section on companions if instrumental and companions if section, an opportunity to talk about that. Birth equipment, whether you'd like to use the pool, for example. Special facilities, again, the pool. Special requirements, so if you need an interpreter or if there's dietary requirements, they can be discussed in there. How long you are intending to stay, what to bring. Monitoring during labour. And one of the things I really like about this section is the change in language, because I think the birth plan that we used to do previously was a bit like, I'm gonna tell you all the things, and actually the phrasing in the birth plan is far more about she's going to tell me what she wants, which I just really like. But yeah, please do go through and read it. And we're also going to talk about keeping active in labour. Positions for labour and birth, and she can make indications about what she would like. Type of birth. Signs of labour. What happens if you shrum? Induction of labour. Pain relief options. Eating and drinking. Who will be present? Information about clinicians in training. Information about perineal tears and episiotomies, information about delivery of the placenta, skin-to-skin contact, feeding your baby, vitamin K, and general birth plan comments. So when you look at that, I don't feel like it goes hugely above and beyond what we do at present. There are some places in there that we might not routinely cover, but the structure is going to be off. So I would really encourage you to go and have a look at that one and see how you personally would explain it. The other thing that I need to show you in relation to home birth, if you go to profile and plan of care, is it in plan of care? Let's go and have a look. There is a home birth checklist. Let's see if I can remember where it is. Where are you? Excuse me while I go and look for it. Just a checklist, antenatal. I feel like it should be in plan of care. Getting there. No. Are you in antenatal? So the reason that I can't immediately find it is because I believe it's in the referrals. If you go to, how have I completely lost it? No, where is it? Is it in women's details? Excuse me while I go looking for it. Antenatal consultations, and then I go new consultation. Does it take me there? So we're going to go review. Okay. And we're going to go observations, and we're going to go investigations, procedures, assessments, findings. There it is. So you can do it as we've just shown in routine antenatal. So on your findings page, here you've got a home birth risk assessment. I won't run through every single line on this, you can go through and read it, but essentially thinking about the environment for home birth, any social issues, if you're talking about the birthplace study, arrangements around childcare, midwifery arrangements, staff safety, those sorts of things. Availability of medical assistance, fetal monitoring, management of emergencies. But I mean, these are not things that we've ever talked about before. About whether the patient is happy for us to use their internet connection and whether their internet connection is any good. What you will have is dongles that go out with the home birth bags and the laptops. But if we could talk about that, that would be great. And suitable for home birth, yes, no. And then here, so this is going to be more for the risk office than for you guys. But if risk have sent the woman a letter about her home birth, then a copy of it will be uploaded there so that you can see it. Okay.
Can I just ask a question about home
Of course.
births? So
Yeah.
obviously if we're at home, we're on this system, and then
Yep.
if we needed to transfer in for any reason, do you
Yes.
then go on to Guardian once you get
Yes.
to the unit? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So you would look after them under Athena in the intrapartum tab. So yep. So you would use here, but where is my, oh, okay, fine. There is a little bit of a fiddly process. This will be covered in the Guardian session, so I won't go through this now, but essentially you use Athena to document in the partogram, same as you always would, and enter the information as you go. When she is nominated as for home birth, in your locations, she sits behind the home birth door. And so when you transfer in, you would discharge her from home birth and you would admit her to CDS. And that brings all of the record across onto Guardian.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. Were there other things in antenatal that I was going to show you? I feel like we have covered most of it. What other things might you need to know? Have you got any questions of stuff where you're like, oh, the thing I was going to show you, actually, I remember I was going to show you how to get a bishop score. So if you go into observations, there's a mark here about induction action. You're going to go add new. Now, consent obtained. Yes. So this is your structural suite and community, membrane suite, NAD, 1 centimetre, uneffaced, posterior, 2 centimetres firm, loosely applied, no FSA, no membranes are present, phallic, and LOL. So now what it does, so it's exactly the same as a normal VE, but when you go through, it's going to calculate your bishop score for you. And you can indicate the reasons for induction for this woman. So most of that's pay dates and that. So this stuff, this is for inpatient setting. So I wouldn't expect you to complete any of this, but you should just be able to finish. Okay. So actually, thoughtful about this because this looks far more like inpatient functionality. So I wouldn't expect you to complete all of these details. What you can do is you can cancel out and you'll lose data on the collection form, but it has given you your score. So you can use your score. But yeah, I wouldn't complete all of that for you. Anything else, any places where you're like, Francesca, how do I do this? How do I do that? Where does this go? How does that happen?
Not until I start using it.
Mhm. All right.
Francesca, if we're referring him to for an induction,
Yes.
how would we do that? Would we just do the referrals and then to the door of DAU or Argyle?
So there would be a slightly different process for that, because again, this is one like GTT and Anti-D that I'm going to introduce an electronic form for. So there'll be a bit of communication on that one separately. But essentially what will happen soon is you'll get a link to an online calendar when you can book a woman for induction, and she'll go in that way.
Okay, thank you.
And we're allowed to book them without. What happens if we need, like, the consultant plan will be in the notes, and then if they're just post dates, we're allowed to like
Exactly.
independently book it on without.
Yeah.
Cool.
Only for post dates, obviously.
Yeah,
Anything other than that, then the consultant will use the online form to book them.
fine.
Right, so the thing that we need to do next is to get you set up on the test system, which is fiddly and takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to take the opportunity for a quick break, if that's all right. If we take until 1:45 and then come back, and then I'll get you set up on test. Okay.
Thanks.
See you in a sec.
Francesca, can I just ask?
Yeah,
So
thanks,
I'm
Fran.
on my own laptop, so I will need to go in and do this in the unit, won't I?
Have you got a plan for when you're getting your community laptop yet? Is that coming soon?
Well, I don't go out to community now till December.
Fine, okay. I understand that those laptops are coming in though. We're just waiting for them to arrive.
Okay.
So you may get one fairly soon. But yeah,
Okay.
you will need one that's got access to the G drive.
And how do I find it once I'm set up? Just in the G drive?
It's in the G drive, but it is a little bit fiddly. So once we've got you a laptop, let's touch base again, and I can run you through the process of how to do it.
Okay.
All right. So with that in mind, then I probably would give you back your time this afternoon, Ree, if you make me the promise that you will take that time back when the system's up for you, that you can go in and play with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, fine.
That's fine. And I've got my next session on Thursday.
Yes.
Can I do that on my own laptop again? Is it just running through videos again?
As long as you've downloaded Teams so that you've got
full functionality.
Full functionality, yeah, rather than just clicking through from a web browser.
Yeah, I have.
But yeah, also you can access the system through G. So rather than getting you set up directly, what I might just show you actually, because it'll be the same situation for you, Amy, because you're on your own laptop, aren't you? If we go in here, I'm going to come out of this record and I will show you what it needs. So when you go into the G drive, you now have a folder that you won't have been able to see before called K2 Athena Guardian. And so in here, you've got these folders.
We can't see.
Oh, for gosh sake. Honestly, I want it on a t-shirt. You're not sharing your screen, Francesca. There you go. Right, can you see it now?
Yeah.
So Amy and Ree, I'll show you quickly. And then, as I said, we can pick up about getting you better access. What you do is you're going to go to G Drive, and then you are going to go to K2 Athena Guardian. Then you're going to go bedside is Athena. And then up here at the top, when it loads in a second, oh no, hang on. Bedside is Guardian, Connect is Athena. So Connect is what you want for community. You're going to go in there. And then your little angry owl up here. So that's what you click on to get to it. You then need to use the login details that are there, and then it will load for you. So you can do that on any computer with access to G Drive within the Trust using that. But those of you that are on Trust laptops, if you come back after the break, I'll walk you through the process. And if Ree and Amy, if you want to pick up with me separately, we'll make sure that we can get you on. If that's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So for those of you that are coming back, I will see you in 10 minutes. So let's extend it a little bit. Let's go for 10 to 2. We'll come back if that's all right.
Do you need me for anything else now, or am I done till I get my laptop?
That's done until you get to somewhere near the G Drive, unless you've got any questions or issues or anything you want to pick up.
No, that's fine. I'm more than happy to pop in and have a look at it on the G Drive if you want to email me my login.
Yeah, fine. Well, it's not a login that you specifically use. If you go to login details,
Yeah.
it will give you the variety of test usernames and passwords.
Oh, okay.
And also you'll get to a screen where it just wants a bit of information from you. You'll get to a screen where it asks for the URL, username and password.
Yeah.
So you would just use that and one of these, and then that'll get you in.
Okie dokes. Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
appreciate that.
All right, guys, I'll see you at 10 to.
Okay.
Thanks, Fran. Bye.
Thanks.
Hello, back in the room. Sorry for being late. Apologies. This training program is a demanding beast in all sorts of different ways. I've been and tidied up today's training related dramas, I think. Fine, so just the last bit to do is just to show you how to get set up in SES system. So if you now go to G Drive, I will share my screen. Go away. We can get you set up. Okay, so let's look at G. So when you go to G now, you should be able to see this folder, which will be a new folder for you. Probably couldn't see that before. K2 Athena Guardian. Can you see it? Yeah. So what you're going to do is you're going to click through to that folder, and then you want Connect. So it's this one here. And you're going to open that folder, and it's going to give you a couple of little residual traces of folders in there as well. You want to go all the way down to the bottom, and you're going to get to this. So when you've got to that, you can then double click. Sometimes it doesn't launch on the first click. So if you don't get it first time, then give it another go, and it might be more in the mood. And so then I'm going to stop sharing because I'm not going to set it up because I have it running in a different way. So what will happen? Is it doing anything for you? Is it loading at all? No, give it another double click, see what it does.
I can't even get into G Drive at the minute.
Oh, mate. Sad times.
Sad times. You are right.
So when it's doing what it should be doing, it will do this for you. It will come up on the screen with something that looks like this, the functionality we've been using today. Has anybody managed to get it to do anything for them yet? Sometimes it will load behind other things. So it's sometimes worth minimizing the screens you're currently looking at to see if it's sitting behind.
Francesca,
Where did you say it was from? Sorry, Chelsea.
go on,
G-
Sophie.
And then it's
Where
called
did you say? Oh, sorry, I got it.
K2 Athena Guardian. Go on,
Yeah.
Charles, what's yours doing?
Mine, I've gone into K2 Athena Guardian. Where do I
Yeah.
go from there again? Sorry.
No, it's fine. So
It's a bit slow to load.
you want the one that's called Connect Athena,
Yeah.
and then you're going to follow that all the way down to the bottom until it gives you just a list of files, and you'll have a little yellow icon at the top, and then all the rest will just be program files that have got weird names.
Yeah.
But when you get to your yellow icon, you want to double click on that.
Okay.
Mine has come up with please enter connection details for your Athena
Yep.
system. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to drop those details into the chat for you.
Fran, I've also got 3. I'm going to assume they're not the shortcuts that I want to access.
Yep. Just use the Athena ones. Okay, and then where you get to that box where it wants the login details, you are going to enter the info that I've put in the chat for URL. You're not going to put anything in domain.
Mine's still loading, sorry.
No, it's all right, it takes a minute. Once you set it up once, it'll be quicker next time. So when you do get to that screen, as I said, URL, you need the long thing that I've just dropped in, and then username and password is also in there as well. You're going to run that, and then it should get you to the Athena front screen. It might do a bit of shenanigans where it's talking about downloading clinical model and stuff. That's just where it's setting itself up. Is yours doing something now, Amy? Is it going somewhere? Yeah.
Yeah, I put all the details in. It looks like it's logging in. It's just got it says downloading new clinical model at the top, like you said.
Yeah, perfect.
Mine's the same.
So what I'm going to do is just reiterate to you, please. I'll show you how to like pull up patients and stuff. But the test system is being used for all sorts of things at the moment. It's being used for testing, it's being used for training. So I need you, when you go in, please, to only use patients that have got surnames starting with C, E or F, because then I definitely know that you're not going into patients that have been allocated for training. There's like 1,000 users in the database. You should definitely be able to find clean records. But if you could stick to C, E and F, please. The training team have asked me to reiterate that to you, because the concern is you might go in and play with records that they've set up for training.
This is quite exciting, isn't it?
One of the things I've just really enjoyed about the training is I feel like I've been at a party by myself for the last year, and now I'm inviting you all. All of a sudden other people can be excited about K2 for a minute. But I have had quite a lot of messages from people over the last week or so going, oh my God, like we realised K2 was going to be major, but not the extent actually of what it does. And then I sort of go, wait till you see Guardian, because Guardian's the best. Wait till you see what Guardian's going to do to your life.
How many
Right.
training sessions are there on Guardian, Francesca?
So Guardian is a full day. So it is 9 till 4:30, that one. You will also see in the labour ward handover room, a training portal has been set up with the actual version of Guardian that we're going to use. Because what we're using at the moment for central monitoring, you'll recognise it, it's familiar, but at the moment I've only got like 2 screens enabled on the portals that we're using. What you'll see on the training portal is all singing, all dancing, all the shenanigans, all of the various different bits that you're going to use. So feel free to go in, log in, play with that.
So it's asking to select the site, just Derriford Hospital, I'm
Derriford.
guessing.
Yeah.
And then onto
then-
the login.
Yeah, and then you can use again Derriford Testery and Password One.
I'm in.
Well done, proud of you, Fee.
How
We can get you over the
exciting.
line, mate. We can get everyone over the line. It's all good.
I know, right? I might need your help with a spreadsheet coming up, Fran.
Always delighted to help with a spreadsheet. You should see the training spreadsheet. It's such a beast. It's so clever, and it's like the best spreadsheet I've ever built in my life. And it's got rainbows and stuff all over it. It's beautiful. But I'll be really happy when this is done to never look at it again, I'll be honest. A training program for the whole of maternity over a 6-week period, it's like herding cats, because we're training obviously not just midwives. So after booking, most of the training for midwives and MCAs is being taken over by the IT training team. So you won't see my face for the rest of the program because it's them, though I will pop in to every session to be like, have you got any questions? Have you got things I need to fix? Have you got an idea? Please, any ideas welcome at this stage. But we've also got to train the obstetricians, the anaesthetists, the neonatologists, the students, the nursery nurses, the sonographers, the specialist midwives, the ward midwives. Some people are online, some people are in the classroom because they haven't got a laptop and I've got to get them laptops. Some people are in the classroom because they've decided they want to be in the classroom. And like just managing that 50 different plates is a lot, but it's all good, it's all fine. So apologies for any of you that get random emails from me going, by the way, I need to do a thing with your training sessions. But yeah, you should be fine. Are you all able to log in now? Have you got in?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So if you've entered Derriford Task 3 and Password 1, that just takes you through into the system. So I'll just share my screen a second to navigate the last bit for you. So I'm going to do exactly the same. So that takes you into this screen, which we've looked at. So if you just want to do a booking, you can go new booking up here. If you want to search records, you can go up there. So if you go into new booking, what you can do here is you can enter the percentage sign rather than any other data. And if you enter the percentage sign and then search, it gives you the full record of all test patients. You can go through all of them. So what I'd like you to do then, please, is if you use patients with names starting C, E or F to play with, the world is your oyster. You may go forth and have a play. You feeling good? We feeling happy? We all right? So what I'm going to do is I'll leave this Teams call open right the way through till the end of the day. If you've got any worries or queries. One thing that you probably will need to do though, actually, I will just show you. If you go back to your blue screen, what you might find when you go to play with the system, you can't see the bottom of the screen, and that's because you need to change your screen resolution. So if you go here and then right click and then go to your display settings, UHP laptops, for reasons I don't really understand, are here automatically set to 150. It needs to be set to 100 in order to be able to see all of the system. Otherwise, you won't be able to click through to finish. And I think that's everything you need to know. Welcome to the K2 era, ladies. Any questions about anything before I pop myself on mute and turn my camera off, and you can just come back if you got any worries about anything?
You said it was surnames with C, E and F, didn't you?
Yes,
Surnames
please.
with
Surnames with
first
C, E,
names,
and F. That would be perfect. And as I said, the things I think I would really like you to go and have a look at, if you could go and have a look in risk assessments, because we didn't do all of those in detail earlier, but they are just wizards. It's just for that familiarity of how you push through them. Birth chat, I'd suggest you go and have a look at, and also those routine antenatal screens, just so you can get a feel of what you feel you need to go and look at, what you need to get familiar with, so that that pattern and process is there for you. Right.
I'm gonna time myself doing a booking.
Well, Fee, you're the one to make the decision about extending time for appointments, so I happily encourage you to go and do that. But as I said, when I did it earlier, loading data based on being really experienced with the system and knowing my way around, it took me 30 minutes.
It's quite impressive.
That is, isn't it? My Guardian hasn't got an option at the top to like minimize it, to go back to the main screen. Like, oh, there we go. Never mind.
You done it?
Yeah, to change the resolution, that's fine.
Yeah.
Do that now.
All right then. I
Cool.
shall pop off, but I'm here if you need me. All right.
Thanks, Fran.
Thank you.
I'm going to stay on, guys, because I think I might need some help. Help! Help!
What's come up? An error has occurred. Gosh. It's a good start, isn't it? But we'll still have an hour and a half for the bookings, won't we, Fee? So it should still be plenty of time. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I think we should just probably for the first couple of weeks change the booking slots to 2 hours. Because let's face it, you don't get admin time in your booking days.
No.
It's not a booking admin day, it's a booking day.
Yeah.
So it makes no difference, does it, whether you get an hour and a half and then or 2 hours. It just means that you're not going to be late ringing somebody.